till. Den släckaren står ändå still. En maskin som vet vad jag vill. Vad fan ska jag ha AI till? Den kan släckaren aldrig chill. Jag styr den följer min drill.
Hej, jag är Marcs AI och du lyssnar på Vad fan ska jag ha AI till? En podd om nyfikenhet, misstag och smarta genvägar. Inget trams, bara riktiga samtal. Välkommen till ett nytt avsnitt. Här är er värd, Marc Hillander.
Here is AI's presentation of today's guest.
Robert is our AI guru at Cube Enterprise, the guy you call when AI needs to work in real life, not just look good in a pitch deck. With 10 plus years in software development, 5 plus years in AI, and 3 years deep into agent-based systems, he owns architecture, local AI infrastructure, integrations, and security. In this episode, we skip the hype and get straight to the question. What the hell should we actually use AI for? For real?
Well, welcome, Robert.
Hello, good to be here.
Thank you for joining today. This was just a short introduction from AI about you. Maybe you could fill in a bit about you.
Yeah, sure. So, hi. Yeah, first, I'm Robert. I've been building software for over 10 years right now. I've been to many companies, small, medium, enterprise companies, building across all industries pretty much. And I've built mobile apps, web apps, desktop apps, cloud, play with AWS, Azure, GCP, on-prem servers. So kind of here and there played with pretty much and touched pretty much everything. My main stack of development is JavaScript, TypeScript with Node, React, of course, but also play with other technologies such as Golang or Vue, and so on. So I've been working, as I said, across multiple industries, entertainment industries, warehouse management industries, big stores, startups, a lot of startups also. So by building so many variety of projects, by touching so many technologies, I learned a lot through these years, and mainly focused, in the past years, mainly focused on the AI space and how to bring value actually into the companies with this AI, and not only hype it and only put the stamp on it that, hey, we got AI, but actually put AI to the work. Because it's good when it is used good, because it's just another tool set, I would say, that needs to be properly used in order to bring value to a company, not just use it for the hype of it, and that's it.
Exactly, and that's exactly the reason why you're here today, Robert, is to talk about some of the cases that you have built for clients today. So maybe if you could just start mentioning some case that you have done and how you actually build it and how it works for the client.
Yeah, sure. I want to start with one case which we did 2 years ago, when nobody was talking about agentic AI, but we were doing agents and agentic systems from day zero. We had a use case of a big company that had a lot of financial data, and the problem was that it's a very hard task for them, especially for the C-level executives and for higher management people, to get some insights of their data. It would take a lot of people, a lot of manwork, a lot of days in order to get just a pie chart or a PDF presentation. Okay, what were our income? What were our the results the last month per department? This would take a lot of time, not because they didn't have data, they'd have data, but the data was so spread across the company itself that there would require a full team of like 5 people to get that data, and in like 3 or 5 days. So what we did, we said, okay, let's see how we can help that, because it's a lot of manual work, and this is where AI at the moment excels into automating this kind of manual labor and manual tasks. So the first issue, like, let's say issue/problem we encountered was like, okay, we have all this financial data. You don't want to expose your financial data to the internet. You don't want Gemini, Google. You don't want OpenAI. Don't want to share your financial data. Okay, so how can we tackle this? And our simplest solution, it was a very, I would say very stupid one, but very simple, is okay, we don't connect the system to the internet. And that solved a lot of problems out of the box with the security, because then we said, okay, we are going to host everything on the on-prem services in their intranet that does not get exposed. And we reduce the hallucination also by the AI by not giving it access pretty much to the internet. Okay, we saw that. Then how we can make it communicate faster or better and try to reduce hallucination, how we can make sure it does what it needs to. And this is what I've been doing the last 2 years. We've been building agents when nobody was using agents. And this is how we were able to use the on-prem client servers that were not really designed for AI, but we made them work with AI. Because what we did, we built a small, now we can call them agents. We call them like boxes or modules. We build like modular systems that were able to do a very simple job, but in a very good way. And what we did, we build like 6 to 7 different these different modular systems. And we would run, at that time, we run Llama 3.2, 8 billion parameters. So that model can pretty much run anywhere. And just to make a small parenthesis and a small story, we were at GTEx Dubai with this, and we were presenting. We had a booth, and we were presenting, and I would show people the app, and the app was fully running on this MacBook, which is an M2 Air, and it was fully running locally. And the AI, of course, it was responding very slow, and people were like, okay, but this is responding very slow. And the wow moment for them was I was showing them, look at the Wi-Fi icon, and the Wi-Fi was off. And people were like, wait, is this not connected to the internet? No, everything was running locally on inside a Mac 2 Air. Of course, it was moving a bit slowly, but for the demo purposes, it did the job. So what we did, we built a subset of agent. We had one agent that was filtering the messages in order to see what kind of data it needs to retrieve. And when the user would ask something like, hey, I need data from the year 2016 per department HR, then that agent would subtract this information and know, hey, I only need to look in the year 2016 and the department HR. This would pass over the information to the SQL agent, and the SQL agent knows about the data structures, knows everything inside the database, how the data looks, and how to build a proper SQL query to get that, to retrieve that data. And by receiving those parameters that it knows how to look in the data and knows to look in the year 2016, and for the HR department, it's able to construct those queries on the fly. But we had other things like, okay, we build this, but I want a monthly revenue chart, revenue bar chart. And then it detected that, hey, I need to build a bar chart. So what we would do, it would call the bar chart agent that only knows to do bar charts, and that's it. And the pie charts again. So this is what I mean. We build very like laser focused modules, we call them. Now everyone is calling them agents, but we call them modules that are very good at treating input data and output data in a very strict manner. Because this is what we noticed by building so many AI systems, that it's very hard to get like one big model or one big module, one big AI to be good at everything. No, and this is what everyone saw in the industry pretty much, that you can take very small models, dedicated models that are very good at specific tasks, and just have them do a very good job, very good manual job, but do it very fast and in a hopefully like nice, let's say 95% success rate. I would not say 99, but like at least 95. This is also one example that we had tackled, like security, so compliant, all these things, and yeah, be fast and work with financial data.
Yeah, and I guess that's the success that you you build this kind of small agent models that actually can do the task they are supposed to do instead of using a big one. I guess that affects the latency also of the system.
Exactly, because everything that we built, it was containerized via Docker, and everything was running the same intranet. So the latency was in milliseconds, like 5 milliseconds, because everything was served there, and they were able to communicate with each other. And the powerful thing is because we build it in such way that, as I say, like modules, very modular. Because I imagine like a factory, you have the assembly line and you have the belt that is running. And what we build is exactly like that. And we can easily just take that or improve that. Like, let's say an assembly line, we just take it out, we replace it with something else, or we improve it, we change models. It doesn't matter what we want. And we also added for this, we added as modules, PowerPoint export, PDF export, and it was very easy for us to do so because of how we architectured it from the start by building this such system that is plug and play. So this is the thing we also encountered in working with big enterprises because they have a lot of companies have, first of all, they have the data spread across everything, emails, Confluence, obscure pages that
Yeah.
nobody knows about it. And second, they have their own system and their own way of doing. You cannot go there and say, okay, we are going to do now a new project for you. You're going to use from tomorrow a new app. Everyone would freak out. And people they don't want change. They want change like with small steps. They don't want it from tomorrow use completely new. Like imagine you are using macOS for many years and tomorrow you are using suddenly Windows. No, you won't accept that, of course. And what we managed to do in this modular system, we said, okay, it's fine. You have your own ways of working. Let's see what's your biggest point, your biggest pain right now. Where do you lose a lot of time, and where we can bring a lot of value. And by having this exactly modular system, we can tackle one issue and one small step at a time. And most times this was invisible for the internal users within the company, and they would just see the benefit. And by going there, we just build on top of that by being modular, like Lego bricks. We build a very strong base. And I like to say, we are going back to the factory references. I like to say that like the black boxes, we're putting black boxes there into their process, and that black boxes improve the process a lot. And we handle like, let's say, one use case, then we go to the next use case, and so on and so on, and improve. And by the time we did that and we did this for one company, like 6 months, the people who are using the internal system, they didn't even acknowledge that they are now using a whole new system, which is improve their workflow a lot just by doing these small steps. But if you would tell them 6 months ago that, hey, 6 months you're gonna use a new software, a new ways of working, they would not accept that. By doing this incrementally, they didn't notice, or they would just see the benefit by working day to day with this. And yeah, to go back to this use case, this was our solving the case for tabular data with financial data. Yeah, you see, I did not mention any of the buzzwords right now with agents and reg because we are already doing reg, of course. But this use case was different because we have tabular data, which is tabular data, we have columns and we have rows. Columns and row make sense. If I choose column D and row 3, when the intersection happens, that makes sense. Okay, on reg, we have a totally different scenario because you cannot apply reg on tabular data. But why everyone's talking about reg? Where is reg actually good? And we did this for another company. It's good for a lot of text data. And how I like to think about reg, it's sounding very fancy, but it's not really that complicated, I would say. What happens with reg? You have a book, you get each word pretty much, and you section the book by word. And then you have like small pieces which each represents a word. You throw them in a bag. And that's what the reg does. But when you retrieve them, you find the similarities. What it does, it do a vectorization, a lot of math happening behind. My cat wants to say hi, so. Um, Yeah, we do a lot of vectorization, a lot of similarities. What happens is that even now the LLMs, how they are working, they don't think like we do. They just do a similarity search between their big like data knowledge and data storage on what it should be the next token. Token can be represented as a word, as a character mostly. So if I say, uh, hey, I love apples, and the LLM is trained that I love apples, the LLM won't know that I also love apple pie. No,
Mm.
it will try to find the similarities. Okay, what do I know before? And once if I start with I and then I say L and O, it automatically looks for the similarity and it knows that hey, the next character should be V and E, and then the word apples. And this is what happens with RAG also. It's very good when you have data that it's spread across companies, and we called it Wiki AI for companies, because when you would onboard the company, you would have all these Confluence pages, you had to read emails, you had to read a lot of PDFs on how to onboard properly, or what do I do in case I need to go in vacation and I want to bring my laptop with me, and you have to message 5 different people. What we did, we built connectors for all these data sources, emails, documents, Confluence pages mostly, and we build a system that throws a rag on all this information. And by doing this, when people would onboard the company, they would be able to ask a simple AI chatbot trained, and its sole focus on the AI is to have only that data from the company, and it will be able to respond like, hey, in order to go in vacation in Spain, let's say, and you will need to you want to bring your laptop, you need to message the IT department, they will need to
Mm.
give you an okay, and then yeah, of course, have to be secure and so on. But this helps the company a lot, because they would not waste time, because usually an onboarding takes 1 or 2 months for most big companies, and they would be able to onboard people in like one week
Mm.
at most, because it's just easier, because nobody and
Mm.
I was there with her, I know specifically nobody reads them, and you don't want to read 100 PDF pages of what to do in case of, if you don't need it. But when you need
Mm.
it, then it's when you actually search for it and read it.
Yeah, and what would you say, Robert, because you've been working a lot with companies and have delivered this kind of solutions. What is the biggest challenge? Do you believe is it hard to build, or do you still believe the biggest challenge is for companies to understand the value that these kind of solution can bring?
I feel like the companies already feel like there is value, and they know there is value. But there are so many people right now in this space, and not and a lot of new people who don't really have the knowledge behind like how a client server works, how to deliver a proper enterprise product, what it's so compliant. And they are building these POC, these MVPs in the AI, and they don't really know what they are doing. And this is why I even saw an article like 90% of the pilots in companies, they fail. And I saw firsthand within a company why they failed, because they were started by people
Mm.
who had no idea what they were doing, and they were, vibe coding. Vibe coding is great for indie hackers, but not inside of an enterprise company. And so they definitely see value, but I feel like they're not really done right or built the right way. Because I said, if you start small with small steps, if you were like we are building agents 2 years ago. If
Mm.
you start small, if you see what's happening, we need to know, we need to have like architects there that know how to orchestrate this. Like, what's a context, what's a reg, what's a tabular data, what's the other data. They need to know about this. But a lot of people that start this, they don't really have, or they have a brief idea, or they
Mm.
learn on the internet. And of course, if you start with that approach, it will fail. And I even have a use case when they started, and they had, can't say for which company, but it was started by someone else, and they had a workflow of like 10 steps. They were doing uh, some AI stuff, let's call them, but they were doing steps. So each step, it would apply an AI workflow. So of course the final output, because the AI, let's say, adds 3%, let's say only 3% hallucination to each output. So if you do that 10 times, at the end you have 30% hallucination. And just that's by only accumulation, because this, I won't go into the math, but this usually scales logarithmical, and 3.10 logarithmic, it's very
Mm.
at the end we will have very bad results, and that's when they pretty much called me, and I went there and saw what's happening, and I pretty much rewrote the whole system, and now the system is 3 steps, and we might reduce it to only 2 steps. And why? Because of course models also evolved, and we made them very practical and very changeable. Because even they were depending on a lot of technologies, they were stuck on a lot, they could not easily change. And what we did, we built providers that are cloud agnostic, that are model agnostic. And if a new model pops in, they will just change one line of code. Hey, a new model is in the workflow. That's it. It works. And by reducing this complexity, we just had better outputs. And from like initially, let's say 10 to 20% acceptance rate. Now we have 5% failure rate. So we got over 90% acceptance rate with the new workflow and what's happening. But this is kind of knowledge you you get by building a lot of and tackling a lot of issues before the AI world.
Yeah, exactly, and understand how you actually build a system without just using, for example, Lovable or something similar.
Yeah, exactly. They are very good. I mean, I use them daily too, but I know how to, you need to know how to prompt them and how to properly use them, and you need to know where to look.
Exactly. And what would you say? Because as you know, we talk a lot, Robert, that we are behind in Sweden when it comes to the AI. You work a lot with different countries around the world. What would you say about the countries that are far ahead? What do they do differently that maybe we haven't started with, especially in Sweden?
Yeah, and not only in Sweden. Okay, even in Romania we have this problem. I think the main problem with this is the whole EU continent, because there is the famous joke that US innovates, China replicates, and EU regulates. So it's pretty much like that, because when first AI erupted and the Pandora's box opened with OpenAI, in a few months EU announced that they were very proud that they regulated AI. Okay, but what about advancement? And I agree, it should be regulated, because right now it's wild, wild west. But you should also emphasize of adding money and trying to help these companies. We had Mistral at the beginning. Mistral was showing, it's a AI research lab from France. They really had good models in the beginning. But right now they released a new model, but it's like down, it's at the bottom. We don't even nobody talks about it anymore, because it is that bad. We have now only China and US. And why? Because they are throwing a lot of resources at it, and they know this is the end game in the next few years. And even I saw an article that EU promised to invest like 1 billion, and everyone said, "Oh wow, they have 0.1% of OpenAI value or something like that." And yeah, that's the numbers game. But also, it's very hard to start an AI company, and it's very hard to do because of the regulation itself. We had a client here, we had to do some agents. It took us from the first meetings until we signed, it took 9 months. We signed the contract, then we started working. We did not get access to their systems, but also it took 3 months to do EU AI Data Regulation Act, DORA Act. So we worked 3 months only on documents to say those agents weren't something wow. There were some agents that would calculate some profitability, get some data, and they would help them and some forecasts. But that did. But in order and like building, like 9 months in the AI space is like 10 years of advancement. So when we initially started and we proposed an architecture, and lot of things change by those 9 months, and then we had to redo the architecture and redo the technology. So we definitely need to use it better, and we need to embrace it. Like even we want it or not, it's here. Pandora's box is open. It's gonna be everywhere. Of course, we don't want it like really everywhere and everyone. Oh, we are using AI everywhere. Like I even saw, I think, a screen protector. I don't know if it's fake or not, but I see a screen protector like AI ready. Like, what do you mean AI ready? It's a screen protector. Like we should stop. It's a bit overly used, but we should use it only when it's the case. As I said, the case is actually right now automating very manual labor intensive tasks that are very, very time consuming.
Yeah, and I guess that's probably the way of getting started, because you've been building a lot for clients. Where do you normally start, and where do you see the biggest win for the customers?
What our approach, and it worked pretty well. Our approach is we do a discovery call, and we do 1 week of workshops, and we try to look into the process, understand how they are doing currently stuff, and where they are struggling. And we see, as I said, the biggest point. That's where we look at, like, what the problem we can solve you right now. And by going from there, we try to build a solution, and we usually build it in like 4 to 6 weeks maximum, and that immediately brings value. And by bringing that value in already, like 4 weeks to have something that already solves your problem, that's huge, especially for the companies that saves money. Because as a big company, if you save even 2%, if you save them 2% of the time or money, that's huge for a big company. And yeah, we solve that. Then we move to the next step, or we try to improve the current one, and then we propose new solution. Because while building that, it also happened to us. They were thinking to other solution, like, oh, this solution we could apply it to the X department and apply it to the Y department, and so on. And this helped us a lot by opening their eyes. But also, when we go into meetings, we usually do our homework as a company, but we also bring already solutions that we build. As an example, we build for other clients, like as I mentioned in the beginning, the finance solution or the wiki AI. And why we do that? Because people usually ask me in the meetings, like, okay, what AI can do for me? I say, okay, it pretty much can do anything, but what do you need? And it's very hard for them to imagine or to grasp what's happening right now in the industry and how it can benefit them. Because it's the same, like I would give you an empty sheet of paper and I say, hey, draw anything you want. And then you're stuck because you have so many ideas, you don't know which one to pick. And you just sit there thinking, okay, what I should draw, not by, okay, let me start drawing. But if I tell you, hey, draw a picture of the house with a tree behind, a lake in the sun in the top right, and then you already have an idea and you know. So by giving this in the initial meeting, by giving these demos, these examples of, okay, we tackle this problem, we work with media, we work with audio agents, we work with SQL agents, we build RAG, and by showing all these use cases, what usually happens, the light bulb you visually see, the light bulb appears in their head. It's like, oh, you build this for the company. I could use something like this. But for us, we are using different data and okay, it's fine. We fine tune it for your use case, and that's it. That's working pretty well right now.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more, because that is also a lot of people are talking about what AI can do, instead of showing what they have built and actually is used out there on the market. But I just want to know, Robert, also if you can just share some really cool example of something you have built, just to give some inspiration on something that AI can do that you don't realize.
We have some examples. Let me think of one right now, but there was one use case, and it's not really AI, but it was something like machine learning that was used before, and like it's not. I actually have two examples. So it's not something like we don't talk about the generative models. Talk about like real life solution with an impact, and we had a telecom telecom business, and their main problem they had the big telecom towers across the country, and their issues were that even the wires or the connectors or towers themselves, they had to send people to manually inspect them. And they would go like a team of 2 or 3 people into a car, they would block the road, look under the bridges, they would grab a flashlight and then look like, hey, do we have any rust? Is this tower looking all right? Or they would have to climb it and so. And what we did there, we built a drone. I mean, we already had drones, but what we built a video feed system, we applied a neural net, so machine learning, and we trained a neural net, in such way that it was able to detect rust and it was able to detect like dark spots or something that is not all right. And now what they are doing, which is far more easier, just they have one or they have one people. They will go with the car, bring out the drone, control it with the RC, and this video feed sends directly across, sends to the office directly, and then the algorithm inspects that. And of course, we also get the human in the loop, and they would see the whole video, and they would have a spike like, hey, I think we detect something, and someone would manually go there, and yeah, there's a rust there, go and send a team there to repair it, to fix it, and so on. And you see, this already brings a lot of value because, first of all, we don't have 3 people, 2 or 3 people. You don't have to block the road. You don't have to stop the car, No, it's just the drone. You go under bridges, you go high up, and it's much more faster. And also you got the data there. You know how it looks before and after. And it's something, it's not like this is AI where it brings value. It's not generative models to generate giraffes on the internet. No, it's actually value that you look at the problems in this industry. Another interesting use case, we actually build a whole going also into the, like you say, where we build so many products that we kind of went over the edge of only software. We also combined hardware and we tackled all these many industries. And we had an interesting use case where we built a whole digital twin of a big saw box, of a big factory saw box. And what we were able to do, this big saw box, we also designed it and we built it together with a team that was doing this for years. And they had all these sensors, and this big factory and big saws that cut trees, and they cut it in special sizes. They tune it, and they do everything. So by having all these sensors, but what we're able to do is to replicate that everything in 3D in an app, and the people were able to see exactly like what's happening, how much volume it handles, all the sensor, what's happening there, and we did it even on the phone. So they have a full digital twin across of the factory, and of course that factory was not using anymore like 30 people, you're using 3 people, because in case something, you need to have someone there in case something went wrong or anything. And where the AI comes into place, we gather data. We spend 6 months, the team spend 6 months gathering all the data from the sensors, because those sensors send data like in every second they send the data and telemetry parameters and so on. And we spend 6 months gathering data. We spend a lot of time uniformizing the data, where to store it, how to make it look so the AI can interpret it. And then we were able to build like machine learning algorithms. And again, this is proper use of AI. And we are now able to forecast how good day is working, how bad day is working, make projections across months, what would happen if we had another module, and so on. Just because we spent 6 months only curating data, gathering data, and then building these algorithms. And now it's crazy what it can do. Like if you see the reports and the forecast and data, it's some heavy data there.
Yeah, that's really cool. Then you understand the value. If you do it right, it actually can bring to you. And I know, Robert, you have built your own app and system.
Yeah.
Can
Yep.
you just explain, because I believe that's pretty cool also, just to give an idea what you can actually do with AI.
Yep. Sure. Yeah. This app I built it with my wife, and how it all started because when you build something, you need to solve one problem. This is how usually it should be.
Mm.
And our use case was that we had a lot of friends, and especially male friends, that they would not know what clothes to buy. And they
Mm.
would go into the mall and just send pictures to my wife and is this looking good? Is this all right?
Mm.
Does this fit my style? And so on. And we always knew that this was a big issue for people, like, okay, how to dress, how to get the proper clothes, how to combine them, and so. Even myself, I didn't know before meeting my wife, I would, like throw a hoodie with green and yellow, and
Mm.
it doesn't matter. But no, you have to combine colors and so on. And I knew there was a market, but we weren't able to really build something on that because we didn't know how yet. But then when we saw what models are capable of, like analyze the images, getting what's there, even in the fashion industry, we saw a lot of clients, and then we saw, okay, maybe we can build something. And yeah, the app is live. It's called Chic AI. It's live on the App Store and the Play Store. And what problem it solves? It's that you go into your wardrobe, you can take pictures of pretty much every item you own there, and then we analyze each image and you have your gallery. But then you can select multiple pieces of items and tell the AI, okay, how to match them. And by doing a match between them, you get like the almost perfect outfit
Mm.
based on that. And you can select even multiple images or just select a blue pair of jeans and it will tell you according to your style because we do an onboarding questionnaire and based on your style, we do suggestion. And we also generate like full images of the outfit. And yeah, it gives a better idea. We have a chat, of course, like, hey, how do I have a cocktail party tonight? How should I dress? What do you think about this blouse? And so on. And yeah, people were using it. It's slowly growing. We want to change some things up to bring more value, but so far the feedback from like people and friends who asked, it's really great. And yeah, people are using it so far. And of course, we have the try on. And what's really interesting, we also talk with some business owners, and we want to do something on the business side for this because there is a lot of value to them to have like outfits generated so the people can get an idea on their shop how they would dress or the try-ons how they would look. So definitely the fashion space, and I already saw apps going there, and there are a lot of apps already there. So definitely that's a use case for this with the generative AI right now.
But how does it work? Because I guess it seems like it could be really tough for the AI to understand, okay, this is my type of style, how should I match? How did you train the model to understand how to pick the right outfits?
Yeah. Yeah. So what we did in the beginning, we have, I think, 6 questions, like how often do you buy clothes, what
Mm.
time of climate do you live on, and so, and then it creates a profile for you. And what we do with that profile, we analyze, we took some models, we train them a bit, train them by giving them proper context, giving a rag of what's fashion, what it should act like, what's everything about, and applying this profile, applying the context from the model that, hey, you only work in fashion, you're a fashion advisor, and so,
Mm.
and by also taking a description for the images, because every image, what we do an analysis and say, hey, this is a beige shirt and the style is formal. Okay, how do you dress a beige shirt with a formal? Like, hey, you
Mm.
get some sort of blouse, maybe a fancier blouse, and then you get some jeans. And it already has the basic knowledge, but by doing this personalization step that we do with the rag and all the information we feed it, it helps a lot for the model to guide it exactly into that right direction. Because remember when I mentioned that it's only similarity search and so, well, by telling it that, hey, I want to dress formally tonight, it knows how to go there because this shirt, it's a basic shirt. I can go also jogging with it or something like that.
Yeah.
But I don't want to tell it like, okay, you're gonna get sports shoes and a blue jeans. Like, like no, it doesn't really go.
Yeah, that's exciting. Do you see any other use cases when you build this that can use the similar concept that you have been doing here?
Yeah, it's we also build a try-on. Try-on is really great.
Mm.
And what we are able to do is we have two options. You can either post a picture of yourself like full body, or you can just post a picture of yourself and we are able to generate a full body based on your face. And because people are lazy, you don't want always to take a full body picture. So just take a selfie and then we generate a model. And then you are able to, let's say, browse Zara or store or
Mm.
H&M or Adidas or whatever. You can download the image and see, hey, how this would look on myself. And or I want to buy this blouse, but I don't know with what to match it. And then it will tell you. And then you are able to look for similar products in that area.
Exciting. Yeah, so I know, Robert, when we talk with each other, we say the possibilities is crazy when it comes to AI. You just need to understand what you should start with, because the quick wins are the most important ones. But this has been a super fun conversation today, and I'm super glad that you wanted to join. But before we end, do you want to share some last word to the listener?
Yeah, sure. One last word is that get out there and start using it pretty much. Because even if you like it or not, it's there. But it depends on how we use it. It definitely comes with a big responsibility. Like we cannot blindly use it and just tell ChatGPT, hey, make me an app that makes me a millionaire. No, it doesn't work like that. You need to properly use it. And what I find it really, really refreshing and really helpful is that I always tell it, be critique, be harsh, like help me, like I'm not understanding this right, explain better. And so there's value in it, but you need to properly use it. And we need now more than ever to critically think more and more, especially now because it's so convenient because we are so lazy and so convenient to just find the answer. But it's our job to, the human in the loop, it's our job to make sure the answer is right. Because it can go on the Satir websites and get information from there and you will believe it if you do not check it. But you have to check it for yourself. I would be for it.
But great. Thank you very much, Robert. And for you guys who are listening, thank you for this time and see you next week.
Yeah. Thank you. See you.
Volume in, drill.